Your brand landscape is how your brandscape is how you identify your individuality as a company. So it's how you do your competitive surveillance to figure out what every major competitor's position is in the market and how you carve out a unique opening that only you can claim, that matters to your customers, that's meaningful, instead of just we deliver better service as a differentiator, which everyone says, real meaningful differentiation that breaks through.
I create clear thinking and decisive leaders who can amplify their influence. Contact me to find out how I can help you or your organisation. And today our guest is Laurie Turner-Wilson. How are you doing, Laurie?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Judith.
Brilliant. So, Laurie, what do you think of these dances on things like TikTok and Instagram? What do you think about those?
About how it's contributing to our culture or education?
Culture, I guess. I guess I'll give you a bit of what I'm thinking. I was talking to a young'un because I'm now an old'un.
Yeah, same.
And I was saying that all the dances, they all individually look great, but they're all the same, even though they're not. It's just like the same. And I was saying that what I don't see in those dances is the joy of dancing. What I see, you know what I mean? It's just like back in the day, you went to a nightclub and you individually moved to the music because it was calling you in what way. It might not have been sophisticated, but it was what you felt. Whereas now it's almost like it's not really dancing unless everyone else is doing the same dance. But is that just me being old, though?
No, I mean, I am a Gen Xer, so I'm probably in that old category also. But I think our world has become so focused on what other people think and the outside view versus the inside view that we've lost individuality. So even in marketing, which is my chosen field and my passion, there is so much cookie cutter, pull it off the shelf, execute a strategy for one client that you executed for 10 prior. And that's why it doesn't work. None of it works because it is all so similar and very little is actually breaking through. There's so much noise in the market today.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. A lot of people, and I'm thinking that, and we'll get into this, but I'm sort of thinking when people are talking about branding and marketing, they tend to start with what is everybody else doing? What's the wave I need to jump on, as opposed to let me create my own wave?
Yeah, and be aware of what your competitors are doing and then be divergent. Be a maverick.
Loving it. Laurie, tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, sure. I am the CEO and founder of Red Rover Sales and Marketing Strategy, but I'd say most importantly, I'm what I would call a battle-tested, outcomes-driven marketing leader. So I'm in a fight for my life to disrupt and elevate the marketing industry that I love so much. So Red Rover is a marketing agency, a full-service B2B agency, but we're doing something really divergent in our space. A little more personal, I'm the daughter of an entrepreneur. I started my own business at the age of 13, where I developed this incredible love and passion that I have for the field of marketing. And then I cut my teeth leading enterprise or Fortune 1000 marketing teams, where I had the opportunity, Judith, to hire some of the top 10 largest ad agencies and marketing firms in this country. And they were wildly innovative and creative, blew my socks off. But they were also equally uninterested in being held accountable to metrics that actually matter, like incremental gross profit, like I was as an enterprise marketing leader. And I tried to drag them into peak performance and accountability, and it was agonizing. So I finally decided to build what I couldn't find and try to elevate the industry that I love along the way. And in 2006, Red Rover was born.
Thank you for that. I love the passion behind it. Tell me, what are you doing that is divergent? Because there are still a lot of marketing people that say, yes, we have real metrics that count. So what is it that's different?
You're right. We, as an industry, over the last, I've been in business, this agency, I've had this agency for 19 years. And when I started, agencies were really focused on reach, frequency, impressions, but little conversation around conversion and actual sales at the end of the day. And that's evolved through the years. Agencies are a lot more interested in metrics, but there are still so very few that are willing to have the courage and conviction to stand behind their outcomes and give a true marketing ROI guarantee, a specific marketing ROI guarantee. And I don't know why. The clients are hungry for it. Clients want an agency that's willing to have skin in the game, and they just can't find it. And so my hope is to disrupt this industry and to get us to elevate our expectations and deliver what clients deserve.
That makes sense. So I'm kind of curious about how marketing can work when there is so much uncertainty in the market. What would you suggest that people or businesses should be thinking about for this year?
So the secret of it all, and I learned this when I was leading enterprise marketing teams, is market research. And that's what eliminates so much of that uncertainty. So most agency owners would tell you that they can't guarantee their outcomes because the market's too fickle. It's difficult to predict consumer behavior. They can't control the conversion process because the sales team doesn't report to them. And all of those things are true. But with the right market research protocol, you can get predictability within a reasonable margin of error if you execute it well. And it used to be market research was so expensive, most small and middle market companies couldn't afford it. And that's not the case today. Costs have come down so significantly because of advancements in technology that it's affordable to nearly every company, and it's what gives you predictability.
So what does market research really mean? Because it makes me think of, as you said, months and months of work, reams and reams of paper to tell you something that you, as the owner of the business, could have said anyway.
Yeah, I feel that because I'm a business owner, and I feel very passionately that I know my business inside and out. And to a degree, I do, as any CEO or founder does. But in reality, we are so close to these businesses that we love that we lose objectivity. And the market research without objectivity is dangerous because it can cause you to point your investment in the wrong direction. So market research, when it's really well executed, it's a combination of qualitative and quantitative research protocols that ultimately give you that predictability. So we're not talking basic focus groups. We're talking far more complex market research that allows you to understand hundreds of variables on your customers, who they're buying from, how much market share you're getting, how much market share they're getting, why they really buy from you, not the surface level answer, but the down deep answer, why they really leave you and go to competitors. What would actually influence them to make a move to leverage your products and services? All of that can be uncovered through market research when it's well executed.
Is that so I can understand how that would work with products. Is that the same for, I don't know, consulting services or training services?
Sure. It's the same for products and services alike. So this framework, this 12 battles framework in my book, The B2B Marketing Revolution, it's centered around B2B, but in reality, it works in the B2C, the business to consumer world as well, with products and services, et cetera. Because for most of the time Red Rover's been in business, we were both B2B and B2C. So this framework has been tested across both. But in practicality, so you'd be doing internal and external stakeholder interviews. You'd be running competitive surveillance, including like a reputation scan and indexing. You'd be doing a value proposition comparison, an offer strategy evaluation. You'd be conducting a marketing performance audit, customer transaction analysis, and broad, wide-ranging customer surveys to current, lost, and prospective customers. And all of that mix gives you predictability, and it's super affordable.
Tell me more about your book.
So the B2B Marketing Revolution, a battle plan for guaranteed outcomes, is the title of it. And the book is my life's work. It is, it's the culmination of all the strategies that I executed in my enterprise marketing days to generate guaranteed outcomes for my corporations that I then took and tested across a variety of industry verticals. We've worked with more than 300 companies over the 19 years we've been in business. And it's a framework that delivers consistent marketing outcomes. So we deliver a 4-to-1 ROI for our clients on average, and 98% of the time we hit their metrics. So it's not perfect, but it is as close to it as I've seen in our industry. And this book is the battle plan. It's how we deliver these predictable outcomes to our clients every day.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you for letting me know that. So, in one of your chapters, Battle 5, you own an opening in the brandscape. Tell me about that.
So brandscape is my terminology for the brand landscape, a combination of those words. And it's, you mentioned early on about TikTok, and we were talking about individuality and how so much of that's missing in the world. Your brandscape is how you identify your individuality as a company. So it's how you do your competitive surveillance to figure out what every major competitor's position is in the market, and how you carve out a unique opening that only you can claim, that matters to your customers, that's meaningful, instead of just we deliver better service as a differentiator, which everyone says, real meaningful differentiation that breaks through.
All right, okay. Explain to me what that means. Because I'm just sitting there imagining someone's listening, and they might be saying, that still sounds like marketing talk. What do you mean?
So when you put together a brandscape, you're identifying, your customer research allows you to identify the top factors that drive a customer to do business with a company in your sector. Then you're plotting all of your competitors against those key decision-making factors to see where they stand on the brandscape. Does a customer say that speed of delivery is most important, that the relationship with the sales team is most important, that a product differentiator or a service differentiator is most important? And then you're looking for an opening that no one's laying claim to in the marketplace that you can conceivably own. And you're making an aggressive shift to move into that market. And that, Judith, you might be looking at this every couple of years. You've got to move with the market. As soon as you move into an open brand territory, within months, you may have a competitor moving into that space, and you're going to be looking to potentially move somewhere else. It's about being well researched and nimble enough to make the moves you need to continue to grow share.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think who else. I spoke to somebody on the podcast maybe a couple of years ago, and they said something similar. They were known as the only whatever it was. And I asked the question, if you're going to be the only person that does X, surely somebody else is going to come along and then do it once you've made it a big thing. And he said, yeah, and I'll be the only something else.
Yeah. As soon as you find that really meaningful differentiator and you put it out into the market, you need to be looking for the next one.
Is that why you say that you should talk your existing strategy unapologetically?
Well, I say that because I've run across too many terrific CEOs and company leaders who want change inside of their organization, a different outcome, but they aren't really open to a different input. And if you really want to create predictable, guaranteed marketing outcomes, you have to be willing to torch it all if it's not working. Nothing is sacred at the end of the day. And so we only partner with companies that are willing to do that. We don't know when we walk through the door what's going to need to be torched, but we need to know that nothing's off the table. And that's what gets in the way of so many middle market companies actually growing predictably. They hold on to confirmation bias, the things that they've always done, that they have invested so much time in, that may not be serving them well. And if you're honest with yourself, you have to allow all of that to be on the chopping block and go on the table.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think it's really interesting that supposedly a lot of smaller businesses don't think they need to innovate and change as much as they really do. But if you're actually working closely with your clients and in the industries, things will change. Like this year, with all the political unrest or uncertainty, I should say, is going to definitely change how this year will play out. And business owners, small or big, should be sitting there thinking about, if this happens, I need to do this, or what should I do if this happens, and try to to plan some strategies, or at least leave space for emergent strategy as to what you might need to do for your company or your brand.
Yeah, I believe that you've got, to your point, you need to have a number of contingency plans in place in any given year for what could potentially occur. So you lose a major client, or a new major competitor comes in the market, or an existing competitor undercuts the marketplace with lower pricing to grow share, or there's political unrest, to your point. Your marketing strategy should have contingencies built in so that you're prepared to move quickly when those things occur, because most of them, pandemic aside, predict you can predict, and even the pandemic, I guess we should have been able to predict. But your marketing strategy is only as good as the best contingency plan that you have.
Hmm. And to thinking about the pandemic, once it had started to move, in the sense that the shock factor had started to dissipate, we we should have been planning on the exit of it, because it wasn't going to go on forever. So
Mhm.
what could be done now to support a strong exit from the pandemic?
We had, not every client we had this philosophy during the pandemic, but it was really fascinating to watch this. It was sort of a cultural experiment. About two-thirds of our clients had an aggressive, this is an opportunity for me to take market share during the pandemic, aside from all the tragedy that was clearly going on. From a business perspective, many companies retreated, they stopped investing, they held cash, they took a conservative approach. But the companies that leaned in and marketed during that time, when no one else really was or wasn't investing as much as they used to, could really grow market share. And Judith, we had this one client in the B2B space, in a manufacturing space, who leaned in so heavily to marketing during that time that they grew more than they had the 5 years prior, and ended up being able to transact to an international conglomerate far sooner than they thought they would, at a much higher valuation, because they did that. So um, you have to think about the market in that way, that everything that's happening has a double-edged sword. There is a risk and a reward.
I can understand why it's difficult to make those decisions, but something like, as you say, something like the pandemic, it was never going to continue forever. It was always going to ease at
Yeah.
some point. And then when people are looking around to spend, they're going to look at the companies that they remember, the ones that were out there doing something at that time.
Yeah, it probably took about a year for most companies, after the world kind of returned to some semblance of normal, right? Another year before most businesses began to resume true operations and growth strategies in the way they had before. And that was such a missed opportunity. It was hard to watch.
Mm. What do you mean when you've got here advocating for an investment in each stage of the customer journey? Is that investment solely financial, or is it other types of investment?
It's marketing and advertising investment in each stage of the journey. So think about it like this. A customer there's a process that a customer goes through to make a purchase from you, and they start in this awareness phase where they're just trying to find out, who are the players, who should I be considering if I want a service like this. And then they go into consideration, where they narrow the search to a small group of companies that they begin to vet, and ultimately they're going to make a purchase, and become customers of yours. So many companies, so many mid-market companies especially, who may not have really strong marketing expertise internally just yet. They want to invest at the bottom of the funnel. They only want to invest in potential customers who are right at the cusp of making a purchase. But what happens is, if you don't invest further up at the awareness stage, you're not even at the table for the lion's share of those decisions. So it takes longer for an advertising or marketing investment to pay off when you invest at the awareness stage, but you need a balance between all of the phases.
Makes a lot of sense. All right then. So what if you've got people sitting there now who are what stuck in terms of knowing how they should take their marketing forward? Is there like a plan or something that they should, some sort of checklist or something they should be going through to figure out what's next?
Yeah, the book is centered around the framework that I've used over the past 19 years to deliver predictable, guaranteed outcomes for our clients. And it's called the 12 Battles Framework. It's the blueprint. It's a playbook for any company leader to use to develop a successful, predictable, guaranteed marketing plan of their own. And so it walks through all of the basic assumptions that you have to have. And it's called the 12 Battles Framework because most leaders to, they have to win 12 battles in mindset in order to achieve predictability and strong marketing outcomes. And from my experience with all these 300 companies we've worked with over nearly the past 2 decades, there's about 12 changes, 12 shifts in mindset that have to occur. And the 12 battles framework is centered around that. But it addresses things like how do you set up your market research protocol to get predictability? How do you actually go about creating a well-tailored, predictable strategy once you have those marketing results? Then how do you hold your team accountable and compensate them for their outcomes? And how do you inspire them to keep delivering those day to day? This is the whole playbook, soup to nuts.
Brilliant. And Laurie, before we end the show today, what would you like to leave with the audience or talk to us about?
My biggest hope and the reason that I'm doing this is the reason I would put my playbook out for the whole world to see, right? Which is a risky thing for a business owner to do. There
Mm,
there comes a point in your life when the individual wins, they're just far less important than the impact that you leave on the world. And I'm I'm tired of seeing middle market companies waste money on marketing strategies that frankly aren't worth the paper that they're printed on. And I know from watching my father, he was an entrepreneur, what it's like for an owner or a senior leader to carry that weight of company performance, to try to make payroll, for example, to save jobs. I've known it all my life. I saw how hard he worked not to bring that pressure and anxiety home to us, his family, because he didn't want us to have to carry that burden too. But we saw it despite his best attempts. And I unequivocally know now, after this career in marketing, that with the right marketing strategy, almost any middle market company can effectively compete with its much larger competitors with the right marketing strategy. And it eases the burden on those at the helm. And so for me, Judith, evening the scales for company leaders and CEOs, these entrepreneurs that are the lifeblood of business, that's my passion. When they win, it's like I'm helping my father who passed away several years ago. It's my way of giving back to the world.
brilliant. Thank you so much. And
My pleasure.
thank you. And thank you out there for tuning into the Maverick Paradox podcast. I'm Judith Germain, your host, and I hope you've enjoyed today's conversation. Tired of working hard but not seeing the business growth you deserve? You're not alone. I'm Judith Germain, and my business growth program is a one-to-one mentoring experience designed to help you cut through the noise, get clear on your strategy, and create real, sustainable impact. No jargon, no fluff, just tailored support that works for your business. If you're serious about accelerating your success, let's talk. Visit bit.ly/accelerate business impact to find out more.